What's going on, Dragon Ballers? I am here with Scott Dashy, first seed at the Virginia Beach event with Dredge, Goku. Scott, address the audience. How you doing tonight?
I got lucky.
That's it? Deck profile is over. Just got lucky?
Yeah, it's over, so we can stop now.
All right, so I know you wanted to say a few things before we got into this. Feel free, take the floor, say what you got to say.
Okay, so I said this on the community group, but I'll say it again, is that the main reason for, and I was going to go to either the Orlando/Cocoa, Florida event or this Virginia event. I decided on Virginia. The reason was to play the game, obviously, but to also set a precedent that we can show people, the community, Bandai, whoever else, that we can indeed be responsible and run events like this, of this nature, following guidelines, whatever guidelines their store, the state, whatever they want to put in place, we will follow it. It was followed in Virginia. It was followed in Cocoa, to show that we can do this again and again and again. Again, we don't have to have a 5,000 person event, a 200 person event. We can cap it at a reasonable number, but we can have organized play of some kind, and play responsibly and have fun.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the reason why I win.
Yeah, I mean, besides, to have a good time and see everyone we haven't seen in a while. I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
If you're scared, it is upon yourself. You can obviously stay home. I do think that, we're obviously in a crazy environment in the world right now, but besides that, I think that a lot of things are opening back up. I think it's definitely okay. And it was really cool to see these events come back this weekend. I was very excited to see that. I always tell people, if you guys haven't been to a major event yet, like, obviously when things go back to normal and you're comfortable, go out to these events, because going with your friends, hanging out, it's honestly the best part of it. Like, obviously playing the game is really cool, doing well at the event is really cool, but hanging out with your friends is honestly usually the best part. So besides that, Scott, I want to get into this because I honestly didn't believe in this leader going into the weekend. So I want you to basically give me your sales pitch. Why'd you play this leader, and what happened there?
Okay, so the truth is that, again, Ryan and the other true duelists, which I know a lot, I've known for years, like Jordan, they know that I don't really, like, when a set comes out like it did and everyone's rushing to get the cards and we want to run a new type of deck, because I was on Jiren for like 4 or 5 months. I was running Jiren Successor, and I knew that wasn't going to really be feasible here, because Jiren doesn't have a big, hand. It doesn't really, and he can get his board cleared by so many different effects now, like this Goku effect and stuff. So I want to try something new. I was cycling through ideas in my head about what to run. And I was basically thinking of what has the least amount of answers to it, or answers that aren't that, can it survive even if it's being answered. And so I was like, okay, so maybe I'll run this deck and go hand control. And I remember Ryan, and maybe I think Ryan was the one who said, Ryan Severin said, Rabanra with Maiden Transformation is a deck. But I agree with you, Joey, that this deck, the leader at first looks lackluster, but if you look at my list, you'll notice that I did not run any like blockers or 1-drops. I didn't run any like low drop blockers to awaken early.
And why was that?
My reasoning behind, and again, I think I was the only person in the history of this game that did that because it's so bad. It was so bad. But the reason why I did it on purpose, because I feel like you have to run a lot of that. You can't just run 4. You have to run 6 to 8.
A lot, yeah.
And that clogs the deck a lot. Late game, it's a dead draw. And is awakening that early really that relevant? Do you really want to awaken at 8, 7, 6 life and then crit 2 life early game to clear a board that early? Like, for what reason? Like, there's no, like, I don't understand. I'd rather get those cards to my hand. I'd rather my opponent attack me and get those cards to my hand than awaken at 4 life, draw 2 more cards, and then only use my effect once, which I did use my effect to crit 2 life to clear a board every so often, but I only would want to use it once per game. Like, there's no reason to use it more than once per game. So that's why I purposely did not run 1-drops, because I wanted the deck to go thick late game.
Gotcha. So you always just awaken like normal, 4 life, draw 2. That was it?
Yep. And people were confused by that, actually. People were like, why are you not hitting your drops? Like, what's going on?
Gotcha. So that is pretty interesting. I do agree with you, though, because a lot of people, they're going to play around the board wipe effect. So why even, play for the board wipe effect? Why not just play a regular deck, right? So I definitely kind of understand that.
You're also losing cards in hand. You're also, again, those cards can go to your hand early game, instead of critting them to clear a board, which you can clear anyway with other answers.
Right, so let's start getting into the main deck here. So going into the main deck in the beginning, we have the 4 super combos, the 4 Bardock, makes a ton of sense, and then the 2 Demigra Unison. How'd you feel about this card? Because I heard from a lot of other Dredge Goku players that it actually was like an MVP.
Yeah, Demigra is an MVP. Demigra is one of the best cards in the entire game. For this set for sure, and then the entire game in general. And the reason is because it has one specific cost, and that is like borderline broken. Like that is it. The card does not look good. Like on paper, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, cutesy. It's cutesy, but early game, if you drop this on turn 1, it's pretty much going to stay on the board the entire game, because you can if it's swing at it, you're taking life to awaken early, which helped me. I awaken early quite often, and plus it just pecks at your leader slowly and slowly and slowly. And if they try to drop any big bombs without barrier, you can peck it off the board with this, and so it's good. I probably should have jumped it to 3. I could have gone 3 Bardock, 3 Demigra. But Demigra is broken in certain decks. Like it can be splashed in certain decks. It's just an amazing unison overall, and so obviously Bardock is too.
Yeah, and I noticed, obviously, you said it before, you don't play a ton of 1-drops, so why max out on Bardock for that reason? Was it just the combo effect or the finishing effect?
Yeah, so again, I for this event, I was expecting a lot of Invoker and like aggro. And so the main thing was the comboing, like being able to get rid of their combo pieces. And again, with Bardock, you can play Bardock, and you can get the +1 counter and fail the effect.
Yeah.
And you can fail the effect. That's what I did. I would +1, fail the effect. And against certain matchups, it is deadly. Like Invoker, they could not combo. When I would play that against Bardock against Invoker, they couldn't combo the entire game, because think about it, they don't really combo. And every card, their super combos, gone. And it was devastating.
Yeah, they're already hurting for combo power, so having that actually is huge. So moving along, we have the Roshi Kamehameha Origins. It's one of the best cards in the deck. I mean, obviously you're playing off of your mills, right? So you want to mill Kamehameha Origins. There's a ton of extra cards you want to pick up from your drop area. So I'm really happy to see actually you have 4 Shocking Death Ball in the main, because one of the other things I heard over the weekend was that Dormant Potential Unleashed wasn't actually that impactful, because like there weren't a ton of aggro decks out there. And did you have that same experience? Was aggro not really super prevalent?
Yeah, unfortunately, I did not. I was expecting maybe Red Gohan, direct damage, or Yamcha Earthlink, like some type of different, even VJax. I didn't think I saw a VJ. I didn't play a VJax.
Yeah, I was expecting Reboot Gohan more than anything else.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, so I didn't. I had them just in case, Dormant Potential Unleashed, but Shocking Death Ball was more prevalent. And I'm running 4 Shocking Death Ball because I think Sparking Negates are broken as hell, and staples in every single deck. And Shocking Death Ball won me numerous games against Invoker especially, and Roshi's just a broken card. So
yeah, and you need that hard negate against Victory Strike, because Dormant Potential Unleashed doesn't actually stop the Victory Strike, so you need that hard negate for sure.
Yeah.
And then moving along, we have the main playmakers of the deck, the Maiden Transformation. Actually, I think I messed up here. You played 3 copies of that, right? Not 4.
Yeah, I played 3. Yep.
So milling it off the top was fine, and getting it back with the Kamehameha Origins was fine.
Yeah. So what I try to mull into, a Unison, hopefully Demigra or Bar. Either or is okay.
Right.
I can do Demigra or Bardock, and then I try to mull into Maiden Transformation if I get it early in my hand, because hopefully I'll mill the Rabanras and the Cocoonzas, or it doesn't matter which one. Hopefully 2 Rabanras, and go from there.
Dude, Cocoonza is a seriously busted card on its own, man. That 2 energy negate kill something. How was that over the weekend? Because that card has honestly been an MVP for me.
Yeah, it was good. I played against Toa Black. Marcus Houston, his deck was actually really good. He ran some of the new black package stuff and warped people's hands. And getting those big bombs out, they don't have barrier, right? So the big Mira that swings for critical and double strike, you just drop this Cocoonza, it clears it, and again, Cocoonza is also a Maiden, so she can be brought out with Maiden Transformation, and her effect will trigger as well.
Yep, kill something on a play. Yep. Yeah,
and Vanilla is just busted.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of how, obviously in the game we have yellow with resting cards, blue with bouncing things back to hand, sometimes bottom decking, but I like pure removal. It's just clean, it's effective, and now that green's actually potentially top of the meta, it's definitely super devastating to just constantly be removing your opponent's board. And like you said, you don't need to use the leader effect because you have cards like this that do that, right?
Yeah.
So moving through, we have the 4 Earthstrike Kamehameha, the 4 Rebrand, and the 3 Saiyan Instinct. So this is obviously a Scott Dashy bling bling money deck, right? So all these cards are super essential, you would say, just for anyone out there who might be hesitant to drop the bucks on these?
Yes, the Kamehameha, you probably could have gone 3. I didn't use that too often. When I did use it, it was game. It was devastating.
Yeah.
Ribrianne you need 4 of. I don't want to run 3, I want to run 4. And Ape I could have probably gone 4 of, but 3 was really good. I used it pretty much every single game because you can stall the early game and draw a big hand, and then hopefully on turn 5, 6, 7 you can do Maiden Transformation to drop hopefully 2 Rabanras and wipe 4 cards from their hand.
Yeah, so these games were going like stupidly long, huh? Like I have to imagine the way that the format looked. Like I did the Top Cup breakdown earlier this weekend, and the way that it looked, I mean, every deck was like a turn 5 and beyond deck, right?
Yeah, it worked out that way. You know, you're going to be doing, if you either haven't or will, do a deck roll for, the Gotenks decks that were there. And those are aggro decks. They look like control type mid-range decks, but they're aggro. They can explode very early, like Amani's deck, Ryan's deck, Nick's deck,
Right, with the Saiyan.
and Sin Shenlong too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those decks can explode. But my deck, a little bit, slower.
Yeah, but slow's okay because if you have answers to pretty much everything. You have draw power, you have hand rip. So really, I mean, you want the game to go longer because your late game is probably better than most late games in the game, right?
Yeah.
So moving through, we have the 4 Charismatic Villain combo with the Fuse Zamasu Deity's Wrath. I mean, this is just an insane combo, right? Like, making use of that 5-drop counterplay, honestly, Deity's Wrath is like the perfect card for that. So I'm sure that was a huge playmaker. Talk to me a little bit about the Super 17 Power Distilled. I know it cycles back extra cards. I know it's easy to get the permanent, but was it really all that great? Because, I don't know, it's one of those cards to me that seems weird on paper. What'd you think about it?
I'm glad I ran 4 of it because the games that I dropped Super 17, I won pretty readily. I think every game I played it, I won. And late game, again, if you drop Super 17 and when you swing twice and your auto triggers twice, so you're warping 2 cards in their hand and getting 2 extra cards back in their hand, and it generates almost like an infinite combo where you can get Power Unleashed or Dormant Power Unleashed. You can get 2 of them and just keep infinitely using them, discarding the other with the other, and you basically lock your opponent out, and you can combo out of their attack. It creates a loop, and then games went like I would drop it on turn, and then if they did not kill the 17, then my next turn I'd have a full row of energy, and I could return Cell's Kamehameha and just eviscerate them. So very powerful card. I'm glad I ran 4. Hopefully that card's going to go up in value.
Nice. That definitely convinces me more on it for sure then. And then the 1 Smoke Dragon, I mean, this seems like the best secret rare to play in the deck, or what do you think?
Okay, so just to circle back, yes, the games did go long enough, even against aggro decks. Games went to turn, I would say 6 on at 5, 6 on average. And I could have dropped Smoke Dragon. I did not play Smoke Dragon once this entire tournament. I had it in my hand. I didn't drop it. It was either this card. I almost ran this SS4 Gogeta, the new one. Yep. The reason why I didn't run that, because again, with SS4 Gogeta, I run all green energy, let's say. So on turn 5, you can drop it, warp 2 cards from their hand, then you untap 2 energy, which you can pay for Ribrianne and discard 2 more cards from their hand, and you swing for winning. But I did not do that because it's so dangerous. If you do not kill your opponent with SS4 Gogeta, then you can't play anything for the rest of the game.
Yeah, getting locked out, that's really made that card a drawback for me.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to run it. And when it was played against me, it screwed my opponent over. Darryl Donaldson, he ran Soul Striker Mono Blue, and he ran SS4 Gogeta, and he dropped it against me, and it was devastating. But because he dropped it, he could not play a battle card after that, and that really affected his line of play. And I'm glad I didn't run that, but I probably should have ran Xeno Cell. Mm-hmm. The reason why I didn't is because I was afraid that my board would be cleared by my own effect and by mirror match or other things. And it probably would have been better to run Xeno Cell. But Black Smoke Dragon is always going to be good in every deck that it's in.
For sure, yeah, absolutely. I think Xeno Cell and Smoke Dragon are both great picks here. So I'm going to let you run us through the side deck. The one card I have questions about mostly, though, is Burning Impact. So start there, because I'm really curious about it, and then just run us through the rest of the side deck. Okay,
so quickly, Burning Impact was the worst card in the sideboard by far this entire weekend. The only reason why I ran it is because it was either that or Toa Twisted Sister.
That's the counterplay one drop, right?
Yeah, the counterplay one drop that shuffles in any card from the discard pile, and I draw a card. I probably should have ran that instead because there were turns where I had dead energy and I could have played it and disrupted. I probably would have swapped 3 Burning Impacts for 3 Toas just because. Why not? At this point, you can form a discard pile manipulation. Artificial Impact, amazing. That card against Invoker, it eviscerates Invoker. And in this deck, there was a game against Invoker. I beat them game 1. Game 2, I sided an Artificial Impact, and I used it about 10 times. You get it back with Roshi, you get it back with Super 17, and it's devastating.
So they really couldn't drop the burn combo on you, huh? Like the game was still going crazy long?
He couldn't keep anything on the board because he would tap out his energy or whatever to play his pieces, and either Frieza counterplay would kill his non-barrier guys, and his barrier, like Vegeta, let's say, didn't have enough, gas, and he had to wait another whole turn. But on my turn, I would just Artificial Impact his Vegeta, and then he could never Royal Condemnation me or anything. And so I was able to play all my pieces and just devastate him by disruption.
Gotcha.
Preemptive Strike, I did not use once. I sided in against, like, you can side in against Invoker and certain, like, aggro decks. I don't think Preemptive Strike is really necessary. I think Artificial Impact did the job. Preemptive Strike could have been like a Dodoria or another Pete, like maybe another counterplay that stops like a 3-drop or less from being played or anything. You could have probably done something like that. That slot's free. You can open it up and put other things in. Mechikabura is a staple in my opinion.
I agree. I totally agree. I've been telling patrons that all past 3 weeks.
Yep, it's a staple against certain matchups. Like I sided in Mechikabura, I think in every single matchup, or not every single matchup, but almost every single matchup. Against Invoker, you have so many targets to name. Against Surge Cell, you have so many targets to name. Against Baby Vegeta, and he said deck that drops a big bomb. You can name that bomb, and it's over. Arena Wrecker Piccolo, obviously, if you're running green, you should have that in your sideboard. It stops it destroys Invoker, it destroys Frieza Healing Pod. So, and that's better. There's another Vegeta that does the same thing, Clash of Fates. I don't like that. This is a 1-drop, technically. It's 20k, and it's a successor bait. If you ran Xeno Cell or other successor pieces, it's really good. And I decided in and helped. And then Great Ape, another Great Ape, just in case for hand control mirrors.
Awesome, man. Scott, I commend you for your first place finish at the VA event. Any final words you want to get out there?
I want to say thank you to Comic Kings and the staff and Mike and everyone else that was involved, and all my friends that were there, all the players that were there. It was an amazing event. Hopefully we can do this again. There were tons of unique decks. There was Set 1 Brawly. There was Soul Striker Reboot. There was Green Frieza. There was tons of decks there, and they may not have topped, but it's very, very unique and cool. And Joey's going to bring a lot more content for you guys from this event and other events. So stay tuned.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to that. Scott, thank you again. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.